Greetings and welcome again. Clive Branson here again. I'm on to my fourth or fifth vlog here now. This one I'm going to be covering is the Peacock Waggler. Now the Peacock Waggler, or Peacock in particular, was only introduced into the country just after the war, probably due to restrictions, who knows. But anyway, when they made their way into the country, a few of the northern lads, people like Benny Ashurst and Billy Lane and people like that, cottoned on to the idea of making floats out of these out of this material, because prior to that they used to use balsa or even crow quills and things like that. But now they found that Peacock, because it comes in longer lengths, and I'll show you a long length now. Yeah, that one's almost 2 foot long. And because they come reasonably straight as well, and they're easy to easy to cut and easy to make a waggler float out of. But the good thing about these, of course, is that they're constructed in such a way that they've got quite a hard sort of outer skin to it and a very soft pith inside. So it makes cutting and inserting inserts like eyes, float eyes and adapters quite easy. Today I'm going to make a two-swan Peacock Waggler, a straight Waggler. In the next vlog I'll be showing you how to make an inserted one. They're quite easy to make, really, to be honest with you. This particular one, first of all, I'll need to cut it to the capacity of float. Now I know through experience that about 11 inches, 10 or 11 inches should produce a two-swan capacity float. Now to cut a peacock, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can get one of these hot wire cutters run on battery, and you can actually just place it on the peacock itself and it will actually burn through with a straight line. Which is okay, it's okay, it takes a little bit of time to do. But I found with a good pair of scissors, it'll do just as good. And you can cut it off. We've got quite a nice edge to it as well. And what I like to do, you can actually shape it as well and finish off with a bit of sandpaper. Anyway, I'm going to crack on now and show you how to make one. As I say, the most simplest floats in the world to make. Once you've acquired the peacock, there's a couple of things you need to do. Is to rub it down with a bit of sandpaper just to get the edge of the where the feathers were. You can actually buy peacock with the feathers already on it, but I would recommend and suggest that if you are making some floats, buy them already stripped and bleached. Once you've cut the length of peacock, as I said, about 10-11 inches will give you a two-swan shot capacity. Although it all depends, I suppose, on the diameter of the peacock, but most peacocks, when you buy them, peacock quills I should say, in the base are usually about the same diameter, and I suppose if I measured them, it would measure something like about 1/4 inch. Anyway, now the next question is, how do we actually attach these to the line? Of course, we will need some sort of eye in the base of the float. Now there's a couple of alternatives. The old way used to be inserting a little bit of cane and then obviously gluing it and then using an adapter. And adapters, yeah, true, an adapter looks like. There you are. That's an adapter with some shot already on it. And that will just plug onto the cane and away you go. The other alternative is to whip an eye on. Instead of using an adapter, you can actually whip one of these eyes on, which they're like a safety pin, like the bottom end of a safety pin. And by whipping that onto the cane and inserting that into the peacock, that's another way. But all those ideas are good, but the best idea, of course, these days with technology, you can buy them already made up, small plastic ones. You see that? And it's like a spigot, and you can actually push them in to the Peacock and glue them. And that's my preferred way of assembling a Peacock waggler. Okay, now once I've cut the length of Peacock off, which in this case is about 10 inches, and I know for a fact that that would have a capacity of holding 2 swan shots. So once I've done that, all I have to do on the edge is to smooth it off and create like a round dome to it. Okay, you could have it flat, of course, but I like to put a little dome to it for when it comes to colouring the actual float itself. Now, on the base end, of course, we have to use some form of attachment so that we can fix it onto the line. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, are small plastic spigot float eyes. And these are available, you can buy them. They will be available on my website shortly. And what we do now in the next stage is we actually make a small hole in the centre, centralising it into the Peacock, into the soft pith. Once we've done that, we're now ready to manoeuvre the spigot very, very slowly and twisting slowly, keeping it level in a straight line into the Peacock itself, so that once it's fully inserted, the actual float eye, plastic float eye, is nice and parallel. There you go. And what I will do, I will actually grab the bottom end and squeeze it together, because, as I say, because it's soft, it'll form a nice seal, and not only that, it actually makes the float look quite parallel then, see? Yeah. Okay. Now, after that, we now introduce the super glue. And this plastic, I should just go straight into it. Okay, so let's recap on this. And what we've done, obviously I've cut the length of the Peacock quill, which I know is 2 swan at about 10 or 11 inches. I've sanded it off on the top, creating a zone. Okay, and then I've inserted the plastic eye on the bottom. I put the drop of super glue in it, and to finish it off, as just before it's drying quickly, I'm just pinching it together. Obviously do it with a bit of paper around your fingers is best, because otherwise you get sticky fingers. Your fingers will be sticking together, be thinking, trying to take them apart like that. So a bit of paper around it. Yeah, like that. And that'll do it. So there you are, that's the Peacock finished. So now the next stage, we're going to paint it black, because I think this particular customer wants a black one. And what we'll do, we'll paint it black right up to the top, and we're going to leave that bit about 1/4 inch on the top. Okay, and that'll be for the tip, which will be colouring blaze, I think. Right, here we are. Fluorescent spray. Now you can get fluorescent paint, but in my experience, a lot of the fluorescent paint you buy are not very fluorescent, if that makes sense. The best type of fluorescent is the ones you get in a can. Now I know some stores don't like to sell this, because I think you get all these younger people with the hoodies going around spraying everywhere, but but in this case, the paint in floats is fantastic, and it comes in reds, blaze orange and yellow. Now the secret is shake it up. I'm like a dirty old man, you. Anyway, what you do now, the next stage, I'm going to dispense some of the spray into the top of the lid. I suppose anything will do, as long as it contains the actual paint. So what I'm going to do now is simply spray some of it into the can. Yeah, and I don't know if you can actually see that, but I've and then I will paint the top of the float. And because it's going onto a white background, it will stand out very bright indeed. Yeah. There you are. I'm just going to give this a second to dry, and then I'll put another little coat on it. Bear in mind it's still a bit runny, so if you give it a second, it will start to congeal, start to stiffen up a bit, and then you can put your colour on again. And there you go. Now, you have to let it dry, because if there's any drips on it, you need to just put it upside down. Okay, so I'm going to rest this now upside down and let it dry slowly. Okay, right, the next procedure is to paint the actual peacock. Now, some people prefer to keep it in its natural colour, so in that case all you have to do is varnish it. But in this particular case we're going to paint it black. Again, using the special granulite paint, which I have mentioned on a previous vlog, and if you haven't seen it, then go back and view it. Right, so I'm just gradually doing some downstrokes. Probably need about 2 coats on this to give it a good finish. But I have mentioned before about waggler fishing, and waggler fishing, to me, I just love it. I just like fishing a waggler. Remember fishing the World Championships when I won it in Portugal, in Coimbra. Fantastic day, never forget. Drawn in a line were all the top anglers, well, British anglers. Dennis White next to me, Kevin Ashurst on his right, Tom Pickering. As you can imagine, you know, some of the best waggler or best anglers in the world at the time. And I was fortunate enough to actually go 2 weeks before the event, and I made a holiday of it. And anyway, I ended up fishing most of the length of the venue, and I knew there was small barbel to be caught, and they responded very well to the waggler, which was out, you know, a bit further out than the pole. And I think a lot of the teams got to know, you know, got to suss that out, to be honest. Anyway, I fed liberally pouchfuls of hemp with maggot. And as you know, when you waggler fishing at a distance on a river, you need to get into some sort of rhythm, which I did. Anyway, it was a great match. It was a fish for fish contest, all in a line. We had a huge crowd behind us. I think there was 10,000 people watching. Fantastic. Anyway, fish for fish. And on the countdown, I think it was about 5 minutes to go. It was pretty tight between a couple of us. Now I remembered, I think it was previously when Kevin Ashurst actually done me by one fish, and I played on my mind a little bit, and especially in going in the last 5 minutes of the match. Anyway, usually you have your captain behind you gives you a bit of a countdown on how long you've got, you know, and especially if you've got a fish on. Well, on this occasion, it was shouted. I think it was shouted out. There was about 10 seconds to go, and I had a fish on. Anyway, I thought I'd take a chance, and I swung my last fish in, which was a little barbel about 6 ounces. Anyway, just as I got it into my hand, the whistle went. And anyway, when we done the weigh-in, I was very lucky and very fortunate to have beaten Kevin Ashers by 1.5 ounces for the World Championships. And that was the highlight of my career. Of course, the year previously, I don't know if people know this story, but there was a similar situation when I was in France on the river Seine, and the first day and the second day was on the local canal. And not many people knew this, but there was actually chub living in that canal, which is the canal was very similar to the Gloucester Canal, probably the same width, a bit shallow and not as deep. And we knew that these chub were there. But it wasn't until halfway through the match that anyone caught one. I think it was one of the Scottish guys. Rumour come down the bank that the Scottish guy just landed a chub on a waggler. Well, I have mentioned previously about putting wagglers on winders, and I so happens to have a few set up. So I quickly put a heavier waggler on, and I went across feeding casters, fishing a maggot over casters, and anyway, I started catching chub. And again, I had a big audience behind me, and fair dues, Dick Clegg, the England manager, did try and help me because he was counting down on the last 30 seconds when I had a fish on. And I knew it was going to be pretty tight between me and the Dutch guy on the end peg. And I was sort of in the middle of the match. Anyway, cut long story short, Dick Clegg's counting down. He says, Clive, you've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, seconds to go. So as he counted down to 1, I had the chub, which is about a pound in front of me, and I tried to swing it. And guess what? It fell off. I was more gutted the fact that the whistle didn't actually go for another 20 or 30 seconds after that. So if I just took my time and netted it, I would have become world champion on that day as well. But Dick Clegg did apologise after and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Clive." But hey, at the end of the day, he tried to help, and and I was unlucky I couldn't run her up that year. But as I said, the following year, I won it using a waggler. Okay, I'll come back now and I'll let this dry, and then I'll paint it. Okay, they've all dried. I made 2, just in case. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to make them in a batch because it saves time a little bit, and obviously it's just as easy to make a couple at a time as it is to make one. Anyway, got my pilot pen, white, which I shall be marking on the side of the floats, 2 swan. There you go, 2 swan, 1. 2. Okay, right, just let that dry a little bit for a second. And now I shall be varnishing. I shall put a coat of varnish over, leave it to dry for maybe 4 hours, and then come back and finish it off. And that will be the finished peacock. Okay, the next stage is to varnish. And what I like to do with these peacock wagglers is to perhaps do a couple of coats. This is the first coat, which I'm going to let dry for an hour or so. Then I'm going to give it another coat and possibly finish off with a third coat. So not only does the varnish protect the float, but it makes it, it makes it stronger, and you get a longer life out of it. Because I have seen some of these floats on the market, and I tell you what, they don't last 2 bloody minutes. Either the stem comes out on the bottom or it disintegrates. So, as I say, I like to think when I make a float, it's going to last a bit longer than standard shop bought ones. Right, so I'm going to place this now into the flower arranging pad, which I've already mentioned on the videos before. I found them great for storing the floats. In fact, I can probably get a couple of dozen on that one pad alone. Okay, well, that's it then. That's about it as far as the straight Peacock waggler is concerned. I hope you've enjoyed our little banter, a little talk, and also how I make Peacock wagglers. If it's something you haven't done before, give it a go. They're quite simple to make. I mean, if you're going to start making any floats at all, try the Peacock, because they're about the easiest ones to make. You can buy them in kit form anyway, which hopefully I might have a few on my website soon. My bloody hair, gotta get my hair cut. Anyway, nice to catch up again. See you in the next vlog. Next one I'll be talking about the Peacock step waggler and insert waggler. Okay, catch you later. Don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends.